All right, hi Darren, welcome to my functional movement screen video. Let's just jump into it with the deep squat right away. So, I'll play it for you. So, as you can see, there's no list present, but we can't really see much from this view, but we can see that my feet and my knees are aligned, so that's a good thing. All right, let's move to the lateral view. Okay. Lateral view of my deep squat here. Already we can see my forward trunk lean. Yikes, that's pretty bad. So let's get the measurement tool out. So your upper torso should be parallel with your tibia, and mine is definitely not here. As we can see there, and my femur is kind of at horizontal with my body, and maybe a little lower, but it's not lower by much. As we can also see here, my knees are over my toes, and the dowel is way past my feet. So that's also another indication of that forward trunk lean. And so I would not be getting a 3 on this one. So let's move to the deep squat with my feet on the 2x6 board. All right, let's play that for you. Much better already with the forward trunk lean. As we can see here. I'm also, my femur is below horizontal, which is good, and my trunk is parallel with my tibia. So that's much better as before. And then my knees are a little over my toes, but not by much, not like compared to last time. And then if we look at the dowel here, that's much better over my feet. And it's in line with my feet. So let's look at the deep squat with elevated heels from the front view. Okay. Again, we can't see too much from this view, but there's still no list present, and I'm below horizontal with my femurs. As you can see, my butt is much lower than my knees, and my knees are still aligned over my feet. So overall, for the deep squat, I would score a 2. The next test we're moving to is the hurdle step. So we did the correct measurements ahead of time so we could just put it into place and keep recording the video. This personally was one of the hardest movements for me. So we're going to start with my left leg in front, and let's play it for you. So already, look at that even there. I already have a score of 2 because on my right hurdle step, because I lose alignment between my hips, my knees, and my ankles. So look at that crazy, just going all over the place right there. Swinging my hip really laterally. So yeah, I'll keep playing it. And the touch, and even coming back, it's a little more in line, but not too much. We can't see much movement in my lumbar spine, so we'll have to look at the lateral view for that. And then the positive of this video is my dowel and hurdle remain parallel with barely any movement. So again, there's that step, just going back, and if you look at my dowel up here, there's like barely any movement going on there. So I was pretty proud of myself for that one. All right, and then I had no loss of balance and no contact occurred. Now the hurdle step with my left leg in front. Again, we see the same thing here. Let me just... Again, we see the same thing here, and that my hips, my knees, and my ankles do not stay aligned. Right there, right there, and right there, and I'm like swinging it all over the place. Again, we watch the dowel on the top, and it stays pretty vertical as we move through the video. A little more movement happens with the dowel on the left side as compared to the right, but it still remains pretty parallel. There's no loss of balance, and I did not touch the hurdle again. Moving to the lateral view of the hurdle step, we're going to start with the right leg, and we can better view the movement in the lumbar spine from this view. So again, you can see my back with a forward lean right here. So right there, so that's no good. And not many more compensations can be viewed from this lateral view. So overall, for the hurdle step for my right leg, I have a raw score of 2. Next, we have the hurdle step with my left leg from the lateral view. And looking at the lumbar spine again, I have less of a forward lean as compared to the right leg, but I am kind of moving all over the place with my hips and my back here. And I way clear it, which I didn't realize I was doing. See, just kind of like my hip moving all over the place, the forward lean in my back. And then also, when I come down on my descent phase, right there, I touch the gosh darn thing. So when my calf makes contact, that would indicate a 1, but you're allowed to complete the test 2 times per side if necessary, and since I didn't touch the first time in the front view, I would receive a raw score of 2 for my left leg. My final hurdle step score is a 2 because the final score is calculated by taking the lower of the 2 raw scores. And since I scored a 2 on both sides, my final score for the step over would be 2. The next test we have is the inline lunge. I'm going to start with my right leg forward. So the back toe of my left leg is at 0 and my right heel is at 17 on the 2x6 platform, which is also my tibial measurement mark, which was also used for the hurdle step over. The dowel is making contact with my head here and my back and also the middle buttock back here. And my top hand on the dowel, I now realize, is way too high. It should be against the back of my neck. So next time doing it, I would definitely correct that. So let's play the video here. So on my descent, we see that the dowel keeps contact with my head and my back and my buttocks, which is good. And the dowel remains pretty close to vertical, but not quite. Seen here. So I was so close, but I had like 11 degrees of a forward lean, which means that there is some forward flexion movement in my torso. Also, my knee does touch the platform, which is also a good thing. Now we have an anterior view of a right leg forward inline lunge. So again, we have the same setup as before at the 0 and the 17 with all the same contacts with the dowel. And from this view, we can see if the dowel and the feet remain in the sagittal plane. So plane the lunge. So on the first lunge, I rocked in the frontal plane a little bit right there, coming up. So we can see that with this measurement tool here, just rocked a little bit over there, so not completely at 180. But then I perform a second lunge, and it's much better, much more consistent, in line, staying in that sagittal plane. So overall, I had a raw score of 2 for the right leg. Now we move to the inline lunge with the left leg forward with the same setup as before. So the 0 and the 17 and all of those points of contact. So all the points with the dowel are met and maintained. So again, the head, the back, and the butt, as we see when we play the video. Beautiful. And then our dowel almost remains vertical the whole time, much better than it was even on the right, but there's just a little bit, so what, like 7 degrees? Last time it was 11 degrees, so better than the right, but still not perfect. So, and my knee does touch the 2x6 board, as you can see here. Moving to the anterior view, we can see that the feet in the dowel also remain in the sagittal plane during this lunge. So awesome. So my raw score overall for my left leg is a 2 due to the fact with the slight deviation from vertical with the dowel. And my final score for the inline lunge, when I put them both together, is also a 2. So moderate on this one as well. The next test we have is the shoulder mobility test. So we start by measuring my hand length, which is about, I would say, 6.5. So we have about a 6.5 for a hand length. I started with my right arm reaching overhead and down my back while putting my left hand up my back and as far as possible. So we see here. And then my score is about a 3.5 let's get to that. So looking at like from here to about there, so we'll say about a 3.5, which is in one hand length, making my right shoulder total score, my raw score, a 3. Moving on to the shoulder mobility with my left hand reaching above and my right hand reaching under. So let's watch that. Right there. So this is worse than when my right arm is reaching over. But, as we can see here, so we're probably at like a 4.5, which is within my 6.5 inches that my hand length is, which indicates a total score of 3. For my left over my right, and this makes my total score a 3 bilaterally, which is good. Next, I performed the impingement clearing test. So here's me performing those.
You just have to see if you can do it, right?
No pain. You guys are artists and you're not interested in money. No pain.
Yeah. As I indicated in the video, I had no pain on either shoulder, so a score of 3 was given. Now we move to the active straight leg raise test. So our measurement device right here, that was placed halfway between the knee and the ASIS. We're going to start with the right leg. Sam's going to get me all set up here. Raising the right leg, that is my maximum active straight leg raise. And tool out. So my malleolus is about, let's see if I can get it about right there. I'm going all the way down. So my malleolus is pretty much at the dowel or maybe a little in front of. My line isn't perfect right there, meaning that there's a vertical line of the malleolus between my mid-thigh, so between this point, and then my knee joint line. My left leg also remained in a neutral position throughout the test. So my total raw score for my right leg would be a 2. So now moving on to my left leg. Worse than my right leg also. And I did, again, so let's draw a line from the malleolus. There we go. So again, I had a vertical line between my mid-thigh and my joint line, and not quite at my ASIS. So a score of 2 was given again. And then my total score for the active straight leg raise is a 2. The next test I performed is the trunk stability push-up. So you have to start with your thumbs in line with your chin for ladies. And let's get the full view here. And as you can see, not many So with my hands at my chin, my body lifts as a unit, as you can see here, with no leg in my spine. So we make this nice straight line, and the whole time I'm moving as a unit. Beautiful straight lines all through. Ooh, my elbows look kind of gross right there, though. This performance indicates a 3 for the trunk stability push-up. After this, I performed the spinal clearing test. As you can see here, I did not have any pain with the test, which would indicate a score of 3. Finally, we have the hardest test, which is the rotary stability test. First, I attempted to lift the same arm and the same leg. I'll play the video for you.
Same arm, same leg, touch knee to... Just do opposite arm, opposite leg. Yeah. Wait, we gotta try the other side. No. You already failed it. Come on.
So obviously I failed pretty miserably at doing the same arm and the same leg. So we're going to move to opposite arm and opposite leg. So we see a nice straight line here. And right there is the touch. And then the full extension once again, and back to neutral. So I performed that diagonal repetition, and then I was also able to successfully perform a diagonal repetition on the other side. So because I was able to perform a diagonal repetition on both the left and the right sides, this indicates a total score of 2. And finally, at the end of the video, I performed the posterior rocking clearing test successfully and without pain, which indicated a score of 3. All in all, my total FMS score was a 22. I would say that's not too shabby.